All right, this is chapter 5 of Elmer and the Dragon. Elmer had just found ostrich ferns and skunk cabbages, and that made the dragon really happy to find his favorite foods to eat on the island. Again, remember, they are on an island this time called Feather Island. After they landed on the sandbar, they are now on the island. And on the island, Elmer could tell that somebody had lived there before. And you could look at the trees. Trees don't usually grow in rows. And these trees, pine trees, and I think he said, I can't remember, the apple trees, I think, also were kind of in rows. So at one point, somebody lived there, but they didn't see any people. That kind of made Elmer a little worried. Okay, chapter 5 is called Flute, the Canary. So Flute is a bird, a canary bird that Elmer's going to meet on the island. Elmer and the dragon rested a while on top of the cliff, watching all the waves below, spreading out over the sandbar that they were on. Suddenly, there was a little voice. "You're Elmer Elevator, aren't you?" Elmer was too startled to answer. "Aren't you? Of course, it's been 3 years, and people do change." Elmer looked all around, but he couldn't see anybody. Yes, Elmer Elevator, but who and where are you?" Sorry, let me change my voice back. That was Elmer. "Yes, I'm Elmer Elevator, but who and where are you?" he asked. Look up in the tree, it's me, it's Flute." Elmer and the dragon looked up, and there he was, Flute the Canary. Funny little Flute with 2 black eyebrows and 1 black feather on each wing. And now if you look really close, you can see him right here. There you go. Canaries are usually yellow, so he has 2 black feathers on the end of his yellow body. Oh, Flute, how glad I am to see you, but how did you get here?" said Elmer. I flew here the day you let me out of my cage when your mother was answering the doorbell. This is where all escaped canaries live. We live here on Feather Island. That's what we call it. But what on earth are you doing here?" said Elmer. Oh, that was actually Flute asking. "But what are you doing here, Elmer?" "Well, I just rescued this baby dragon, and he was flying me home. Only we got caught in a storm, and we landed here instead. And now he's got to rest and get plenty of food and water before we can go on." "Does he eat canaries?" "I should say not," snorted the dragon. "Only fruits and vegetables and lollipops." "Well, that's a relief," said Flute. "I almost didn't talk to you because the rest of the canaries were afraid. I'll just tell them that everything is all right." And Flute gave a trill loudly in every direction. So a trill is, see if you can do this. You put your tongue and you go, yep, you try it. That's what Flute did in every direction to warn or to relieve all the canaries that there was no danger. And soon, all the pine trees were filled with fluttering friends. "Let's go," said the dragon, who was bored and hungry and thirsty. So Flute flew down and rode on Elmer's shoulder as they walked through the pine trees. "Tell me, Flute, do people live on this island?" asked Elmer. "No, just canaries." "That's what I thought. Well, have you been getting wait a minute. Tell me, Flute. Okay. No, just canaries. That's what I thought. Well, how have you been getting along without your mother? She's never stopped worrying about you." "Quite well, thank you," said Flute. "But I'm beginning to suffer from the island disease." "Well, what's that?" "I know it sounds silly, but this whole island is sick. This island is sick with curiosity. And old King Can is actually dying of it." "Who's King Can?" asked the dragon, becoming somewhat interested. "He's the king of all the canaries on the island. He's really King Can number 6. His ancestors, King Can number 1, were the first canaries on the island. They came with a party of settlers, but the settlers sailed away after a month or two, and they left King Can and his wife behind. Now I understand about the ladder and the bucket and now I understand about the ladder and the bucket and the pine trees and the apple orchard," said Elmer. "Yes," said Flute, "they are the work of the settlers. But to continue, migrating birds often stop by here, and King Can, being lonesome, told them to ask escaped canaries to live on the island. But even after many canaries had come, he was never well or happy. And when the other birds asked, 'Why not?' King Can would answer, 'I am just dying of curiosity.' Pretty soon, all the canaries grew curious to know why he was so curious, but he told the reason only to his eldest son. And so they all got sick with curiosity. Finally, when King Can number 1 was very, very old, he did die of curiosity. And his eldest son, King Can number 2, became the king. Skunk cabbages, I smell skunk cabbages, interrupted the dragon right in the middle of the story. Because by this time they'd come out onto the meadow. It's right over here, right over there in the swamp, pointed Elmer, and the dragon lumbered off to eat and to drink the cold water. There he is. So you have to think about, what is curiosity? It's kind of like wondering. They're wondering about something, and everyone tells somebody else, and they keep wondering about it. Like why they should be wondering. And no one is really talking about it, but they're so worried that people are getting, or the canaries are getting sick. See, there was the king named King Can, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, and 10. All of those died of curiosity as very old canaries. And now there's King Can. I think I said 6, but I meant 11. King Can number 11 is the one that's alive. The king of the canaries is alive, but he's sick because he has it now. And the rest of us are sick too. I tell you, this curiosity thing is awful, continued Flute. I suppose, said Elmer. I wonder what are they curious about? See, said Flute the canary. See? You are getting curious. What a great day it would be when the island gets over this plague of curiosity. Well, said Elmer, maybe I could help King Can the 11th. If he weren't curious anymore, then nobody else would be curious to know why he is curious, and everyone would get well. That's right, said Flute. Let's go see the king. He lives in the biggest tree in the forest. Elmer yelled to the dragon that they'd be back soon, but all he could hear was munching and drinking and noises in the bushes. So, Flute the canary needs help saving all the canaries from this disease called curiosity. And Elmer thinks he could help save them. So they're off to see the king. And that's the end of chapter 5. Our next chapter will be King Can, number 11. So they'll be up to see the king. We'll see you guys on Monday with chapter 6. Goodbye. Have a good weekend.